We talked about kids.
Yeah, true. But just so you guys know, because you guys are, beautiful women. You guys are still like women, right? But men, right? Men see a baddie, we think like, I'm gonna get her pregnant. That's what men think when they see a baddie. When she told me, I was shocked a little bit. Like literally, I was shocked. And we got into this, thing. Like I love being a dad, right? Like absolutely love being a dad. But I was shocked as shit. And I don't think it was the reaction that Sha wanted. So she cried a little bit. And it was uncomfortable for her and for me.
The game sat down on a podcast with Shaunice and her mother, Evelyn Lozada, looked this woman dead in her face, and basically told her she was never special to him. He admitted that the only reason he wanted to have a baby with her was because she was a baddie and he thought it would be fun, not because he loved her, not because he wanted to build a family, just because he saw a pretty woman and wanted to lock her down with a child. And the worst part is, he said all of this while watching her reaction, enjoying the fact that she was finding out in real time that everything she thought they had was a lie. This man is 46 years old and still playing games like this. And honestly, the whole situation is so much messier than anyone expected. Shaunice and the game were never actually in a real relationship. And that's something that became painfully clear during this podcast interview. What they had was a situationship, something casual and hidden that only got more serious when Shaunice found out she was pregnant with their son Blaze. Before that, she was perfectly fine being his sneaky link. She never posted about him, never made it public, kept the whole thing completely under wraps. Even her own mother, Evelyn, didn't know her daughter was messing with the game because Shaunice understood that them being together wasn't a good look. And honestly, she should have known better from the start. A quick Google search would have told her everything she needed to know about this man's reputation with women. It's not like the game has been hiding who he is. He's had public relationships that ended badly. He was engaged to Tiffney Cambridge, who was actually friends with Evelyn for years. And he had a whole reality TV show that documented exactly the kind of man he is. But somehow Shaunice claims she didn't even know he was a felon until he told her during the podcast interview.
You surprised that they weaponized the fact that you two had a baby against me on the show? Like, I had a feeling it would happen, but like, how did you feel about that? Because
they called you a felon.
Yeah. I mean, true.
Are you a felon?
I am. So I don't feel slighted by someone trying to like throw like my past at me. Yeah, I'm a felon. My mama know I'm a felon. My kids know I'm a felon. My fans know I'm a felon, and that's just what it is.
This is public record, and she's sitting there acting surprised by information anyone could find in 5 minutes. But here's where things started to really fall apart for her. Somewhere during their situationship, the game started making promises to Shaunice, telling her things she wanted to hear, painting a picture of a future together that he had no intention of actually building. And Shaunice bought into it completely. She's tried to rationalize it by saying the game manifested their son, that he kept talking about wanting a baby with her until she eventually got pregnant. Like he spoke it into existence and she was just going along with his vision. But the real reason the game wanted a kid with her is so much worse than that. He admitted during the podcast that when men see a baddie, they think about getting her pregnant. That's it. That's the whole reason. He didn't have a baby with her because he liked her, or loved her, or saw a future with her. He saw an attractive woman and wanted to put a baby in her for the fun of it. She wasn't special to him. All of the expectations she had about becoming a family, about building something real together, were dead on arrival.
Well, thank you for saying that you didn't give me enough grace, because I do agree with you. And I think a lot of my anger came from you not delivering what the expectations were.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that there.
So when Shaunice told the game she was pregnant, expecting him to be excited and over the moon about starting a family together, she got the opposite reaction. He just wasn't feeling it. And that response threw her for a complete loop. She was crying, confused, trying to figure out what happened to all those promises he made. Meanwhile, this man was never on the same page as her to begin with. And watching the podcast, you can see the game was actually enjoying her pain. There's this moment in the interview where the game starts talking about marriage and how people thrive in it.
I know people that have been married for 15 years that are miserable, that are miserable. And I look at that and I'm like, I feel like I'm doing good, right? Like I'm great. I'm not married yet, but I feel good and I'm happy to be exactly who I am. And I also know people who are, married, and thriving. So I think that your happiness and what works out or what you feel didn't work out is like subjective to.
And while he's saying this, he keeps looking over at Shaunice to watch her reaction. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew this woman didn't want to end up as just another baby mama. She stayed child-free until she was 30 specifically to avoid ending up like her mother Evelyn, who has been through the ringer with men and baby daddy drama. Shaunice wanted something different. She wanted the ring and the white picket fence and the stability, and the game used that against her. While they were together, he most likely leaned into exactly what she wanted, told her everything she needed to hear until she was eating out of his hands. He dangled the possibility of a real future in front of her, knowing full well he was never going to deliver on any of it. That's not just carelessness. That's calculated manipulation from a grown man who should know better at 46 years old. When Shaunice asked him during the podcast how he would feel if she got a stepdad for their son Blaze, the game basically told her that now that she's tied to him for life, men aren't going to want to be with her seriously anytime soon.
Now, if Sha got married next year, which is very unlikely because I'm not. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with me. I'm telling you, there's a thing that like soon as someone figures out that like your baby daddy is the game, it gets a little tricky for a man because people think they know who I am, right? And so it gets a little, damn, am I gonna have to like catch a fade with this nigga? I know how he feels about his kids, so is he going, do I really feel like doing it? Yes, you're beautiful, and yes, I want to be with you, or yes, I love you, but I think that thought process and that courting stage lasts longer than a year, so it definitely won't be next year.
He painted her as undesirable, as his possession now. He's pulling an offset, acting like he won by making her his baby mama regardless of whether she wanted that title or not. And you could hear Shaunice falling apart in real time. Throughout the podcast, Shaunice seemed to be in complete disbelief that this was actually happening. You could hear it in her voice as it kept cracking while she tried to maintain her composure. She was learning in real time, in front of an audience, that the man she had a child with never actually wanted her, that she was just a baddie he decided to lock down with a baby for his own entertainment. All that careful planning she did to avoid her mother's mistakes, all that waiting until she was 30 to have kids, all of that got thrown right back in her face. The game didn't even seem to care that he was hurting her. If anything, he seemed to enjoy it. This is a man who apparently likes seeing women get riled up because of him. He knew Shaunice wanted more than what he was willing to give, and he dangled that possibility in front of her just to watch her chase it. And now that she's stuck with him as her baby daddy for the next 18 years minimum, he's making it clear that he has no intention of being anything more than that. The truth is, the game probably doesn't even want Shaunice to get married or find someone else. He wants the option to dip in and out of her life whenever he feels like it. He wants her available, waiting, hoping maybe one day he'll change his mind. That's the kind of control some men want over their baby mamas, keeping them in limbo indefinitely so they can have their cake and eat it too. But the real question everyone's asking is, where was Evelyn in all of this? Evelyn Lozada has been doing press since this podcast dropped, talking about how she watched the interview and is seeing for the first time in 4K how the game played her daughter. She's upset. She's calling him out for abandoning Shaunice. She's playing the protective mother role. But the internet is not buying what Evelyn is trying to sell, because how did this happen in the first place? Out of all people, Evelyn Lozada from the Bronx didn't teach her daughter street smarts? That's hard to believe. This is a woman who has been around, who has her own laundry list of bad decisions when it comes to men, who has seen exactly how these situations play out. And here's the part that really doesn't make sense. Evelyn literally watched the game treat her friend Tiffney Cambridge the exact same way. Tiffney was engaged to the game, was on his reality show, went through all of his nonsense publicly. Evelyn had a front row seat to that entire disaster and somehow didn't think to warn her own daughter. Tiffney even attended Evelyn's baby shower. These women were close. Evelyn knew exactly who the game was and what he was capable of. Yet, when her daughter started messing with him, apparently she said nothing. Neither Evelyn didn't know because Shaunice kept it secret, which means Shaunice was hiding it for a reason and knew it was wrong. Or Evelyn did know and didn't intervene, which means she failed as a mother to protect her daughter from a situation she could see coming from a mile away. People are pointing out that Shaunice ended up in the exact situation she was trying to avoid her whole life. She watched her mother go through baby daddy drama, relationship failures, public embarrassments, and she tried to do everything differently. She waited until 30 to have kids. She tried to be careful about who she got involved with, and somehow she still ended up as a baby mama to a man who never wanted her, just like her mother has been multiple times over. The comments have been harsh, but honestly, it's hard to argue with them. Some people are saying they would have respected Shaunice more if she had at least gotten pregnant by an athlete who's still playing and has a consistent check coming in. The game is 46, and his best earning years are behind him. Others are pointing out that his name is literally the game. Like, what did she expect from someone who built his entire identity around playing people? Shaunice is not a child. She's a grown woman who had access to all the information she needed to make a better decision, but she got caught up in whatever he was telling her privately, believed the promises over the public record, and now she's stuck dealing with the consequences. The game plotted on her, got her pregnant, and then admitted on her own podcast that his only intention was to lock down a baddie.
What do you do when you think you are above the program, but that man quickly reminds you that you are not? Shaunice thought she was gonna get special treatment from the game, but he was like, I mean, he does have a lot of respect for her, but he was not finna be sitting up there playing house like she wanted him to. Save this as your friendly reminder that you are never above the program.
He said it to her face while she was sitting right there, and there's nothing she can do about it now except co-parent with a man who just publicly humiliated her. The cycle Shaunice was trying to break? She's right in the middle of it now, and the mother who should have warned her is out here doing interviews acting shocked when she had all the information needed to prevent this from ever happening.